Welcome to Cooking Classic. I'm Jane Adonizio. We're here at Luzerne County Community College in Nanticoke at the Paglianiti Culinary Institute, and I am with one of the culinary professors. This is Chef Dave Pembleton.
Hello.
Dave, you've worked at a lot of restaurants in the area. What drew you into this field?
Well, I've always had a love for cooking from my grandmother, and I was a chef in the area for many years, and then I got married and we decided we wanted to have a family, and I needed something with better hours, and I was always interested in teaching, so it was a natural fit for me to come here to Luzerne County Community College.
And a great program too. Do you still cook some of your grandmother's recipes?
I do. We still make her fudge at home, her rice pudding, and some of her casserole dishes at home, absolutely.
So she had a sweet tooth too, but today we're going to cook something else, right?
Right, yes. Today we're going to make a couple of Mexican things. We're going to start with chili.
Okay, did she make that?
She did.
All right, well great. I can't wait to get started. Is there a certain twist on this chili?
No, it's pretty basic, and you can make it as hot or as mild as you'd like. It's a pretty basic recipe, and I like to cook things rather simply, and then you can embellish them as you'd like.
Sure, and it's great comfort food.
Absolutely.
All right, well great. We'll dive into it in just a minute. Stay with us, Cooking Classic. We'll be right back.
My name's Dominique, and I'm a culinary student at Luzerne County Community College, and I'm here with your culinary tip of the day. Today I'm going to make a compound butter. You're going to start off with 1 pound of softened butter, and you're going to add in 2 tablespoons of chopped parsley, 3 to 4 cloves of minced garlic, and 1 tablespoon of white wine. You're going to mix this all together with a wooden spoon. You're going to mix this all together until it's all mixed very well. It's better to use a wooden spoon because a metal spoon might scratch the dish. I'm going to put on some gloves. You're going to get a piping bag with a star tip, and you're going to fold the bag down. You're going to fill the bag about halfway full with the compound butter. You're going to squeeze the butter down and get some of the air out. And then you're just going to pipe little rosettes onto your plate. Once they're chilled, you're going to put the piped rosettes onto your finished dish, which right now is grilled chicken. And that is your culinary tip of the day. Bon appetit.
Welcome back to Cooking Classic. We are in the kitchen with Chef Dave, and he's making a classic today, one of his classic dishes. This is his chili con carne.
Right. So Jane, to get started with this dish, we're going to preheat our pan here. We're going to start with a little bit of oil. Doesn't matter what kind of oil, really. I'm just using a vegetable oil today, and we're going to get that nice and hot there. And what we're going to do, this is a cooking term that we use here at the school called sweating. And what that means is we're going to sweat these vegetables. Means to cook in fat without browning. And that's just so we can release their flavors and just start to tenderize them a little bit. And I like to do the vegetables first because I find if I do the meat first, then the vegetables don't get as tender. And I like the vegetables to be tender. So, and we choose, I choose red and green peppers. You don't have to use red and green, but I like it because I like the color. And this particular version of chili, Jane, it cooks in less than 40 minutes. Some restaurants out there, they cook chili for an awfully long time. And I find by doing that, you lose the integrity of the vegetables, you don't see the tomatoes, and it kind of looks kind of blah. So I like this one because it has a nice fresh taste and a nice fresh look to it. So again, we're just sweating these vegetables just briefly, just for a minute or two. And some people like their chili to be really spicy. I tend to cook on the mild side, and if people want to add spice, they can add it later. But if you really like spice, you might want to add in some jalapeno peppers. Or
right now into this.
Yeah, if you wanted to, you know, if you wanted it really spicy, and if you wanted it really, really spicy, maybe you would even want to go for some habanero peppers.
And you don't want them to brown because that changes the flavor, right?
It doesn't. It changes the look too. If they brown, it just gets what I call an ugly look to it. Okay. So
yeah, we like this nice fresh.
Yeah, it looks nice and fresh and nice and colorful. And the next thing I'm going to put in, Jane, is I'm just going to put in the meat here. Okay. And I'm using a very lean ground beef. If you could kind of use any kind of meat that you wanted to, but I kind of like chuck because I really like the flavor of it. So if you go to the butcher or to the grocery store, you can kind of choose any type of meat that you'd like. I kind of like ground chuck, and if I was choosing one for flavor, I would probably choose one called 80-20, which
80-20,
you know
okay.
it's 80% lean meat to 20% fat, and that just gives it a nice flavor without too much fat in it. And then we're just going to cook this meat in this pan. We're going to continue to stir it until it gets a chance to brown up on the bottom. Okay.
Now, some people might want to use ground turkey.
Sure, that's actually a very, very good point, because some people want to be more health conscious. You could use ground turkey. You can use ground chicken. I even worked at a hotel where we used ground buffalo.
Wow.
So, because we wanted a signature type chili.
Sure.
So this is just like a ragu. This is just like a comfort stew is actually what it is. So you could actually use any kind of meat you wanted. And when chili actually started out, chili wasn't ground meat at all. It was pieces of cut meat,
right.
And it didn't have beans. Okay, so this is chili con carne, and it kind of differs from that just a little bit. Okay.
Well, it was probably pieces, you know, as people traveled west in the wagon train, it was probably pieces of meat that they didn't have use for.
Yeah, and probably tougher cuts of meat as well.
Tougher, right.
You know, things that they couldn't sell for a lot of money.
Sure.
Maybe they would use it at the chuck wagon and that kind of thing. And
Yeah.
I think this is one of those foods that they would use, for those types of things. So today we're using ground chuck, but you're saying, you could put anything in here. You could use any ground meat. You could use any bean that you wanted to. You could use different vegetables if you wanted to. You could use different hot peppers and spices. So it's kind of all what you want to do with it as well. So this is just a method of making something, and you could kind of make it your own as we go along. Okay? So we're going to let that cook a little bit, and as we're cooking it, we're going to talk about the spices that are in here. Okay? Again, I don't like to overly season anything. I think good food comes from just the good raw product that you put in. But when I season the chili, I use a very simple mixture of salt, pepper, a touch of sugar, some chili powder, and some ground cumin. And ground cumin is like a smoked spice that really has a unique flavor. And I don't think that you could make it without cumin. I wouldn't make chili without cumin. It's one of those things that I don't think you could make without it. Okay,
what about chili powder?
Chili powder are different types of chilies that have been dried and ground. Some are hotter than others. There's a dark one, there's a light one, and you know, it's all what you get accustomed to using.
And what your family likes and what, yeah.
Right. The only thing I could say is if you get spices in those plastic containers, make sure you keep them in the cabinet where the light can't get at them, because light robs them of their potency.
Okay.
And you know, I tell my, you know, here at the school, I tell my students that, you know, if you haven't used your spices in 6 months and they have been exposed to the light, I would get rid of them and get new one, get new stuff. So I think it's very, very important to use spices that are fresh.
Yeah.
Some people think it's, you know, it's there, they can use it forever, and it's really not.
So that's what that means, store in a cool, dark place. You
Yeah.
see that on all those labels, right?
Yeah, and some spices used to come in cans. And that's probably the best thing to ship them in, because it, you know, protects them from the light.
Sure.
But I guess from expense and all that kind of stuff, they've changed what they're doing. Okay, what I like to do next, Jane, is I like to actually put the seasoning in, okay? And, you know, before I put anything else in, I like to actually cook the meat and the seasonings together, because I think it toasts the spices a little bit, and it really, really blends the spice into the meat really, really well. And you can smell it.
I can smell
Yeah, it smells good, doesn't it?
Yeah, the aroma is great.
Yeah.
And
As you can see, there's not a lot of grease in here. You know,
I was
sometimes
going to ask, are you going to drain that? You weren't going to drain
I
that,
don't think
obviously.
I'm going to, because it's really nice and lean. But sometimes if I saw a puddle of grease in there, I would. These days, I think people are try to eat a little healthier. So I probably would do that, but this is pretty lean, so I don't think I'm going to have to do that today.
I like that you take it on a case-by-case basis.
Right, and sometimes, you know, sometimes the meat might, even though it's 80-20, it might act a little bit differently.
Right.
Okay. Now, Jane, can you hand me that water there and those tomatoes?
Sure.
Okay. Now, some chefs might tend to use stock or some type of a broth in making this type of thing, but sometimes I think water is the best thing. It doesn't cloud the flavor at all. So I like to use water, and I'm going to cook that water in with those spices to really bring out the flavor of the spices through the meat and all those types of things. And as this cooks, it evaporates, and you know, it keeps the flavors and intensifies the flavors, and it allows it to keep cooking, you know, on that term. Now, I'm using crushed tomatoes. And I like to use a good tomato. And a good tomato to me is a good California tomato, nice sweet tomato. And how do you tell a good one? I would open them up and I would actually taste them. And if you get ones that are acidic and bitter, I would probably tend to use ones that are sweet. Okay? And if you can't find good canned tomatoes, then you probably would have to use a little bit of sugar then. Okay? So we're going to put the tomatoes in next. And again, like I said, it's just plain crushed tomatoes. If you wanted to use whole tomatoes, I'd probably blend them up somehow. And we're going to stir that in, like so. As you can see, it's starting to resemble chili now. Okay? It's starting to come together. It's smelling really, really great. And you can see the peppers, you can see the onions, you can see the you know, the bits and pieces of garlic. And to me, in a chili, even though it's a chili, I like to see that. I think it has a much better look.
Right. It doesn't have to look blah. That nice freshness makes it more appealing to the eye.
Yeah, and the one restaurant that I worked in the Valley, they made chili every single day. And that's why they sold so much of it, because it looked so fresh. And it didn't take more than 30 or 40 minutes to make it, so it wasn't really that big of a preparation. Another restaurant I worked at, they made chili 35 gallons at a time, and they cooked it for 8 hours.
Wow.
On top of this steel plate. And that chili didn't look as good. It still tasted fine, but it did not look as good.
I guess when you're making 35 pounds, you have to cook it that long.
Yeah. Now we're going to put just a little bit of sugar here.
And why are you using the sugar?
Well, sometimes the tomatoes have an acidity to them.
Oh, I see.
So we're just going to put a little bit of that I'm going to put a little bit of that sugar in there just to safeguard so that it's not going to be bitter. Like so. If you don't mind, we'll put this down here.
Got it.
Thank you. And now you can see it's getting nice now. Now, Jane, if you wouldn't mind, if you could just hand me those beans. And I like to use light red kidney beans because I think they're creamier. I think they're softer. Dark red kidney beans tend to be tough, and I don't think they eat as well. So I like to use light red ones, and I do drain that juice out of them.
Okay. Before that. Right?
Yeah, because if you don't, I find that it makes your chili really kind of thin. So I do drain it out. And then what we're going to do here, Jane, is we're going to stir this around, and you can see it almost looks finished.
But it does have to blend a little bit. How long do you need to blend it?
I think from this point in time, we're going to probably simmer this about 30 minutes.
Okay.
And at about 30 minutes, it's going to be completely done, and then we can come back and we can show you how to plate this up and show you how we go about garnishing it and all those types of things.
All right. Yeah, we're not going to stand here and just watch that simmer.
Right.
We're
Exactly
going to let
right.
it simmer on its own, and we'll be right back in just a moment.
Hello, my name is Nicholas. I'm a culinary student at Luzerne County Community College with your culinary tip of the day, boning out a chicken breast. Boning out a chicken breast can save you a great deal of money by the end of the year, and it's simple to do. First, with the boning knife, find the top of the breastbone and follow it all the way down. Until all the meat is released from the bone. Continue the process on the other side. Until all the meat is released from the bone. If you prefer it skinless, gently pull back the skin like so with your fingers. And with the bone, if you save it, you can make soups, sauces, and save a great deal of money. And that's my culinary tip of the day. Bon appetit.
Make your life better by Degrees. Choose from over 100 academic and career programs. Go to an accredited college at the area's lowest tuition. Earn your degree or transfer your credits to a four-year college or university. Take your life to the next level. Achieve your career goals and reach your fullest potential at
Luzerne County Community College.
Welcome back to Cooking Classic. We are here at Luzerne County Community College's Culinary Institute, and I'm with Chef Dave. And we've been working on something here in the kitchen. Dave's showing me his classic chili con carne recipe, and we've been simmering a while. It smells delicious in here.
Yeah, now after it simmered probably 30 or 35 minutes, Jane, I think that we're ready to plate this up. So if you could be so kind as to hand me that bowl. You notice it's a nice big bowl. And that ladle too, please.
Absolutely.
Okay, and we'll just plate this up. And you can garnish this a lot of different ways, but tonight we're going to use some fresh tomato, some shredded lettuce, and a little bit of sour cream for richness. What could be better than that?
Sure, you can even put a little cilantro on there. Or,
yeah, some people would maybe put some chopped jalapenos on there and those types of things. So you can kind of make it your own, okay? So we're going to start with some shredded lettuce right on the center there. And what a garnish does for me, Jane, is just add some beauty and a little bit of texture at the very end. And the tomatoes are nice and bright to add a little bit of crispness. We're gonna put that on the top. Some people like to put a little cheese on the top.
Oh yeah, now you're talking.
Yeah. And for richness, I'm just gonna put a dollop of sour cream right on the very top of the tomatoes. And what could be better than that? Okay? Like so. So that's kind
Beautiful.
of our version of the chili con carne.
It looks great.
Okay? Smells good.
Now for the
looks
best part.
great. Now we get to taste it.
Right.
Okay?
Okay. Oh, I got a little bit of everything there.
Very good, huh?
Love it.
Okay. When we come back, we'll make a nice accompaniment to go along with chili called a quesadilla.
Okay, sounds great. I'm up for it.
Are you looking for a college that's right for you? Luzerne County Community College has more than 100 majors to choose from, convenient class times, and many online courses. Transfer your degree and continue your education at a four-year college. Work with modern equipment found in the professional world, all at the area's lowest tuition. Make it happen at Luzerne County Community College.
Welcome back to Luzerne County Community College's Culinary Institute. You're watching Cooking Classic. We're with Chef Dave, and he just wrapped up a big bowl of delicious chili, and now he has something to go with it.
Yeah, I think a perfect accompaniment to chili, Jane, is a quesadilla. So we're gonna get started on making that.
Okay.
We're gonna take a nice flour tortilla, and I like to start by toasting that flour tortilla on one side. The reason I like to do that, it crisps it up, gives it a little bit more flavor. Plus, it helps the rest of the ingredients melt.
Sure, and then it has some substance on the outside too.
Right. And at my house, every week we have some form of this, whether it be a quesadilla, a taco, a burrito.
Right.
They're all kind of the same. It's just a matter of how you treat them. Okay. So we're going to start with some cheese. Okay. I like to use like a Mexican blended cheese, some Jack, Monterey Jack, maybe a little cheddar, whatever you have at your market is fine.
Or whatever you have in your refrigerator.
You know,
is
that's
fine.
a very good point, because a lot of times that's what it ends up being at my house. Like if we have fish at our house and we have some leftover fish, well, that's what we do. If we have chicken, we use chicken, but you can use anything. You can make your own salsa. You can buy store-bought salsa. So it's really up to you on how you want to go about doing this dish. But quesadillas are fun. My kids like to help me make them, and they're a very good seller out in the industry.
Sure.
And our students really like them as well. And on the inside as well, I'm going to put a little bit of salsa, like so. Okay. And then we're going to take another flour tortilla, and we're going to put it right on the. Well, I'm going to put a little bit of cheese first. I like it to melt on the top.
More cheese is always good.
Yeah, cheese is never a bad thing. Okay, and we're going to kind of set it like so.
Okay.
We're going to make sure that it'll release from the bottom, like so.
Okay.
And I do a little trick here. I take a plate, and I'm going to turn it over right in the pan. And you can see how nice and it blisters a little bit. And that kind of makes it crunchy, and it kind of gives it a better flavor as well. Now we're going to put the fire back on a little bit. And we're just going to let that melt, because really the cheese on the first side has already melted. So we're just going to wait till this melts a little bit on this side. We're going to turn it out in the plate, and I'm going to show you how to cut it, how I cut it, and then how we're going to garnish it.
That's a great tip, because I thought for a second that you were going to flip that, and that would have meant.
Well, I might do that with an omelet, but
Okay.
I'm not. I'm not.
That's a great tip, though, with the plate. I like that.
Yeah, and you know, some people have a Teflon pan, and then you don't have to worry about it sticking so much. So we're going to turn that over, like so. We're going to put it onto a cutting board, like so. And Jane, if you'd be kind enough to place that plate there for me.
Right here?
Yeah, we're going to cut it. I'm just going to cut it in 4s. If you wanted to cut it smaller, you certainly could, like so. And they're very, very hot, so you have to be careful. And then we're just going to place them on a plate like so. They smell great, don't they?
They are great, and it's so easy. When you come home from work, or
Right.
you're trying to get things together for a little gathering at your house, it makes it very easy to just put these together.
Yeah, and it's very, very easy. And then what we're going to do is we're going to garnish this with a little bit of shredded lettuce. And these could be edible garnishes that they could use along with their quesadillas. Okay, we're going to use a little bit of salsa here. And it makes it look pretty.
Very nice.
And again, for richness, a little bit of sour cream that I'm going to put right here, right next to the salsa, like so.
Such precision.
Yeah, I think it really makes a difference the way you would plate something up. That would be the quesadillas as we make them here at the school, or at home. Okay.
It's great, and there's so much variety. As you said, so many different ways you can make a quesadilla.
Right. You
Yeah.
can put the fillings inside. You can make them up yourself. You can use different flavored tortillas. The sky's the limit.
All right, well, for all the recipes and to watch the shows, you can go to luzerne.edu/cooking classic. Thanks for being with us, and Chef Dave, it's always a pleasure to be
Always
with
a
you.
pleasure, and thank
You
you.
have so many great ideas.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next time right here on Cooking Classic. These are great.